Hello again, music fans. I am back to do another one of these collection videos, and this time for something that pretty much everybody that has a music channel has to do at least once, which is to name your favorite bands. I already did one for my 10 favorite hard rock bands. Now comes for the difficult one, my 10 favorite metal bands, because metal is my favorite genre. And the criteria I used for this, because it was really getting very difficult to, whittling it down to 10, and I didn't want to do, kind of like cheat and do like my top 50 bands or something. I wanted to have 10. But I will kind of cheat and say I have 5 honorable mentions. And the reason there's 5 is because of the criteria I used was that I wanted to include in my 10 favorite current metal bands, meaning, or rather, currently active metal bands that are still around. Okay, whether they have still releasing albums or are still touring, even if they haven't released an album in a while. Okay, so, and here are my 5 honorable mentions that are not my top 10. The first one is, of course, obvious because it's probably everybody's favorite metal band and one that influenced every single other metal band, okay? Which is Black Sabbath. All right. I'm a huge Black Sabbath fan, and I originally had them on my list, but then when I said, okay, I'm just gonna go with the currently active bands, well, of course they were out. But I do have every single Black Sabbath studio album, most of the live stuff, most of the DVDs, I have a Black Sabbath collection video on this channel. You don't need to say anything more. Black Sabbath, my first honorable mention. And not on the list because they're inactive, of course. Likewise, with this band, connected to Black Sabbath, which is a Dio. All right. This is the Dream Evil cover, which I always thought was really cool. Of course, with the death of Ronnie James Dio, this band ceased to exist. Saw a Dio live twice. I'm very lucky to say. Okay. I also have the entire Dio discography except for Angry Machines. Another fantastic band that is just. This is one of the ones that could, in theory, still be active, if they wanted to. But of course, they have other plans. That's Sabotage. Here I'm holding up Power of the Night, one of the greatest metal albums of the 80s. This is my original copy from back then. Great cover. And Power of the Night is probably one of my favorite metal songs of all time. Okay? I love the entire Sabotage discography. And of course, they morphed into Trans-Siberian Orchestra. The other 2 bands in my honorable mentions are active currently, but I'm going to explain the reasons why they're not on the list. The first one is Blind Guardian, whom I love, okay? However, I am not completely familiar with their entire discography, and that was one of the criteria that I had for these bands that I'm going to put on my list. I do have to be familiar with at least most of their discography, and I am missing several of their earlier albums. All right, even though I do have their first one. And the last honorable mention is a band that I do have their entire discography, but it's just too soon, I believe, to put them among the top 10. Even though I absolutely love this band, I mention them every chance I get. That would be Canada's Unleash the Archers, okay, who I was lucky enough to see live twice here in my city. This one is autographed right there by the singer Brittany Slays. Absolutely fantastic power metal band. They were very super heavy in the beginning. Okay, this has a lot of thrash elements. This one, Demons of the Astral Waste. They got more proggy and power metal-y, in later albums, in a good way, because those albums are fantastic. All right, so having gotten the honorable mentions out of the way, let's now move on to my top 10 favorite heavy metal bands, as least as far as right now. Okay, So number 10 on the list is a band that you may be surprised. I have them either so low on the list, or some of you may be surprised that I have them at all on the list. Because this is a band that's kind of like cool to hate on them, and it is of course Metallica. Okay, and I'm going to showcase their latest Hardwired to Self-Destruct, which I think is a really really good album. Okay, yes, a bit too long because it's a double disc, but still, there's a lot of great stuff here. I did like the production. I think the songs are solid. I'm not gonna say return to form, because this does not sound like the Ride the Lightning Metallica, and I don't want them to sound like that. I do want them to any band to evolve their sound. Okay, like with the hard rock list, I'm going to showcase two albums with the band. The other one is this EP that I don't know if many are familiar with, which is Beyond Magnetic, right there, which has a 4 tracks that did not make it onto Death Magnetic. Okay, but they're still pretty good tracks. All right. So there you go, Metallica. I think it's a band that, their influence is undeniable, and they're a great band. Let's just say it. Okay, number 9 on the list is a band that introduced me to the more extreme metal. Even though I'm not hugely into death metal, that would be Arch Enemy. Okay, and I had never heard really paid attention to death metal the way I did when I started listening to Arch Enemy. I'm going to showcase one of the early albums, Stigmata, here with their original singer, John Leva. There you go. Great album. And one of their middle period albums with their female singer, Angela Gasso, which is this one, Chaos Legions. And there she is on the back. This is a super, super heavy album. Now for number 8. An American power metal band that has their own very unique style and with a lot of prog metal tendencies to them. And that would be Camelot. I'll showcase 2 albums by them. First, The Black Halo, one of their best. Right there. Really great singing, great playing, great compositions all around. And another one here would be this one, which is Poetry for the Poisoned. Really enigmatic cover right there. Great band. And now for a band that came to my city. I was lucky enough to see them. And they are also a band that is started out as a death metal band. They later morphed into kind of more of a prog metal band with death metal overtones. That would be Amorphis. And this CD is signed when I went to the meet and greet. This is Circle. Great album. Even though I'm not too familiar with their earlier catalog, when they were more of a death metal band, but I am familiar with their latter day catalog, which is the part that I prefer. Okay, so this is why they're on the list right here. Amorphis. The second album I'll showcase is this double live album, which has not only 2 CDs but 2 DVDs. Comes in the slipcase, which is the name of it is Forging the Land of Thousand Lakes. Amorphis. At number 7, or rather 6, would be a completely progressive metal band, and probably the most famous and well known of the prog metal bands. That's Dream Theater. I'll showcase their one of their heaviest albums, Train of Thought. Here, the instrumental, which is Stream of Consciousness. Okay, that instrumental is fantastic, and I love the live version of it, but the studio version rocks as well. Train of Thought. I'll showcase another one, which is really also very heavy, which is this one is Black Clouds and Silver Linings. The Count of Tuscany, a great album closer right there. Nightmare to Remember, super heavy song. Dream Theater, love that band. They've recently taken out a new studio album, but I haven't gotten it yet because it's over here in Mexico where I live. You know, that one is really expensive for some reason. Okay, metal fans, now time for the top 5 of my favorite heavy metal bands. And of course, here I'm going through all the metal subgenres. Let's start with number 5. It would be the band that introduced me to symphonic metal and those kinds of operatic or quasi-operatic vocals. Of course, I'm talking about Nightwish. And I can't remember if this was the first Nightwish album that I bought. This is Century Child. It may have been. Okay. This is with their original singer, Tarja. Bless the Child, and Death of the World, Ever Dream, Slain the Dreamer, all classics. The other album from them that I'm going to showcase would be this one, Dark Passion Play, with their second singer, right there, Annette Olsen, who does a fantastic job with these songs. You know, she may not have been appropriate for the rest of the earlier catalog, but when these songs, she really rocks them. And this is a fantastic album, all throughout. You know, 10 out of 10 for me. Nightwish, still, you know, I believe possibly the best of all of the symphonic metal bands. Let's go now to one that you may be surprised. I have them at number 4, you know, because for some of you they may be number 1 or number 2, and that would be Judas Priest. Okay, here we have the Screaming for Vengeance, the remastered edition. Of course, I love, you know, the grand majority of the Judas Priest catalog. Another one that I'm going to showcase from Priest is their comeback with Rob Halford. You know, that is a pretty good album, Angel of Retribution. Of course, not as good as Firepower, you know, their latest, but still pretty damn good. Okay, this one contains also a bonus DVD with some live material. Not a full concert, but just some live stuff. Let's move it along now to number 3 on the list. Fantastic Bay Area thrash band. I'm talking about Testament. Okay, and we're all very familiar with all of their catalog, especially their early albums. I'm going to showcase this EP first, which I don't know if some of you have seen it. Return to Apocalyptic City, which is a live EP. It's got 6 songs. The last one, which is Return to Serenity, I'm not sure if that's a live track or not. Okay, but the first 5 are. I believe recorded in Los Angeles. Cool cover. All right. The other one from Testament, their latest, which is fantastic. You know, Titans of Creation. It made a lot of people's best of lists the year it came out, and deservedly so. These guys have not lost a step. You know, they're still super heavy, still composing great songs. And that's another band that I love their entire catalog. Now on to number 2. Band that I've seen live twice. I've got them here. Talking about Megadeth. I'm going to showcase 2 of their middle to latter day albums, which I think are really cool, you know, because we're all very familiar with their early stuff. Rust in Pieces, and that's absolute classic. This one is The System Has Failed. And I saw them on this tour. Right here. Blackmail the Universe, Kick the Chair, The Scorpion, great tracks. Right there. The other one is a bit later on. It's Endgame, super fast, super heavy. Of course, by this time, the Megadeth lineup was revolving chairs, and you can tell, who the main man is in Megadeth. And I'm all right with that. It has become a Dave Mustaine's solo band, which is perfectly fine. Endgame. Of course, another band that I really love all their catalog. I am missing a couple just to have the entire discography. Number one is no surprise to anybody, because it's a lot of people's favorite band. Of course, I'm talking about Iron Maiden. Was lucky enough to see them alive in Phoenix, Arizona. Going to showcase, there's no album that I would showcase that would be like little known or anything. So I'm just going to put up Power Slave here just because of the fantastic cover. This is my OG edition from back in the day. And the other one that I will showcase will be, let's see. A Matter of Life and Death. One that in recent years, has gotten a lot greater appreciation. Most people usually go with Brave New World as the best of the newer era Maiden albums. I don't know if I agree or not. I do love that album. I really have to listen carefully to the entire catalog again to make that assumption. Even though, yes, Brave New World is better than this one, but this one is right up there. It's really good. This one contains a bonus DVD with, I believe, a making of and a music video. Cool cover right there. There you go. My favorite metal band of all time, Iron Maiden. Of course, a lot of people's favorite metal band. And this list may change. I had a hell of a time putting it together. I reworked it several times. And then again, when I decided I'm going to only showcase the currently active bands, and leave the ones that are inactive like Sabbath and Sabotage, as honorable mentions. Of course, there's a ton of other bands that I love. If you've ever seen any of my videos, I do love thrash metal. I do love power metal, progressive metal, some death metal. The only subgenre that I'm not really into is black metal. I still haven't found a black metal band that kind of like really grabs me and makes me want to, delve deeper into that genre. But for now, I think this is a pretty good cross-section of metal. So, what do you think? Thank you very much for watching, and keep rocking.